Hi, I'm Zach Northup, and this is Nisi's archived interview series for Others Beyond Themselves. 2004, I went to Fort Bragg to interview members of the 30th Infantry Brigade, North Carolina Army National Guard, before they deployed to Iraq. And in today's episode, we are going to listen to an interview I conducted with Captain Norm Walls and Sergeant Chris Tryon, both from the 1st of the 120th Infantry Battalion, 30th Infantry Brigade. This is their story.
Let's run through some quick questions here. Most of the stuff with this part of the story, since I haven't really had a chance to talk with you before, just on record, I want to know about the mobilization. What's got you to this point right here? First question, and either way, jump in. What was your initial thought when you first heard that you guys were getting mobilized?
The initial thought was, number one, wow, thank God they finally decided to mobilize us. I thought it was a little too late. I knew we could do the job. I knew we were ready to mobilize, and I was happy to see it happen. It's a welcome relief from my full-time job, which I can do until I'm old.
What about you?
I felt relief because it was the anticipation was starting to get almost stressful. You'd watch the news, something else new would happen. Is that phone gonna ring? But when it finally did, it was more of a relief than anything else.
Before we go any further, state both your names and ranks, just for recording.
My name's Captain Norman Walls, W-A-L-L-S. I'm the Battalion S2, 1st and 120th Mechanized Infantry Battalion.
My name is Sergeant Christopher Tryon, S3, Assistant Operations Sergeant.
Back to business. I know Norm's married. You married?
Married, no kids.
What'd your family think? What'd your wives think when they learned that you getting mobilized?
Just a little stressed, but I think she, in her mind, knew that it was probably going to happen, and was probably just waiting for the same phone call I was.
What about you, Norm?
Well, my father and grandfather served in this country in both world wars. You know, inevitably I thought it would happen. My wife was prepared for that. I don't have any children either, so it's not a huge stress on us or on our lifestyle. But you know, she really thought it would happen the first time when the war initially kicked off. A little bit more apprehensive now when it happened, because thinking, well, it's all. I think as most civilians, well, it's over now. What do you need to call them up for now? But still taking it fine. I mean, she knew what the job paid when she took it.
Norm worked for an engineering firm, right?
Right.
What did you do? What's the name?
Full-time student and work part-time at the county hospital,
Where'd you go to school?
UNCW.
Cool. How'd your employers respond?
My employer responded fantastic. My employer has always been easy to work with. He's always let me go anytime I need to go for the National Guard. Let me do extra things over and above my AT. I've always been able to go to my schools as well as AT. I couldn't ask him to cooperate any better with the Guard.
Chris, how'd your school, how did UNCW handle your withdrawal? I guess you had to withdraw.
UNCW, I didn't imagine what they were going to do for me. They refunded my whole tuition,
Wow.
all my books, and basically just told me when I come back, not even go to the admissions office, but come back to the registrars to see the dean of students. And they guaranteed me my classes, and if they weren't being given that semester, a comparable class to keep me pushing through to my major.
Wow. What year were you in?
I just transferred in as a junior.
Talk to me a little bit about the mobilization process. From your perspective, how has it been in terms of the organization and the stress involved in getting to this point? I mean, has it been generally a positive experience, or has it been a negative experience, or what? I don't know what words you know.
Well, I think it's been a positive experience. I think we planned extensively the first time we were alerted. So the second time we got the alert, coming together as a battalion staff, it was almost just like pull out your notes from last time and dust them off, and everything was already done. There was no more going through the manuals and figuring out exactly what your staff section had to do. It was already done in a PowerPoint presentation ready to go. As far as the actual mechanics of getting from point A to point B, it was really more streamlined than I thought it would be, being our vehicles were at Fort Bragg, we were at Wilmington, North Carolina, we were going to Fort Stewart. A lot of moving pieces that go into that whole thing of going from point A to point B, but it seemed like, railloading our vehicles went smoothly, getting them to Fort Stewart went smoothly. Now, I am talking about something that happened more than 60 days ago, so there's a lot of stuff that's went, and I may have forgotten a lot of things that initially was a jump through your ass. But now, that was the easy part of it. Mobilization went smoothly, I thought.
What about you, from your perspective?
Movement to Fort Stewart was pretty well locked on, just because what Captain Wall said that everything was ready to go from the first one. But I think getting down there, and a lot of guys that have only done National Guard and have never deployed before, I think that whole hurry up and wait thing was starting to get not stressful but more annoying. Like, we're just in another line. Here we are again in another line. And I just don't believe they were used to it. So
your prior service?
Yes.
What unit did you serve with?
I was in the 2nd Marine Division, Camp Lejeune.
Do you want to add something?
Well, I think for a lot of the enlisted soldiers that was true. The staff, we had more planning than we had time to do. The E6s and below, stand in line to get your weapon. Stand in line over here to check off that you got your PT suit. Stand on, and you've got men that have spent all day long standing in 4 lines. Now, granted, there was some concurrent training going on while this was happening, but still, that's boring, and you can't help that, though. I understand there's not a quick fix to that, but I can understand how some of the guys might be a little disheartened by it.
How do you feel about deploying to a combat zone?
I feel no.
Well, let me put the question this way. Would you feel, how different would you feel if you were deployed to Germany to pull gate guard to you versus going to Iraq?
From the standpoint of being ready to do my job, I feel no different going to a combat zone in Iraq than I do going to a pull gate guard in Germany. I'm not apprehensive about it. I know that I'm going with people who know how to do their job, with people who want to do their job and are ready to do their job. I'm looking forward to it because it's a life experience that I may never have again.
I wouldn't say that I'm excited to dive right into it, but from the 60 days we've had training, I feel good about going. I've been there before, and it's maybe the second time for me, and I'm a little more used to it. But some of the guys that have never done it before, the training that we've been knocking out in these past 2 months, it's been excellent training, and they've put forth tremendous amounts of effort.
So you saw combat in the Marines?
Yeah, we went to the Liberia in 1996 to the U.S. Embassy.
What was that like?
Hair raising for it being the first time, but it quieted down very quickly when they saw that the embassy went from 6 Marine security guards to 150 in a line company. Things got quiet really quick.
I bet. I don't know how you answer this question. How do you think you'll react if somebody you know or somebody in your unit gets killed? Have you thought about it?
Well, we've already had one death. One of our mortar sergeants, had a heart attack, for lack of a better word. I don't know exactly what the pre-existing heart condition that causes death. And, it's traumatic. It's traumatic for everyone. Even though I didn't know him all that well personally, you think of someone in your unit passing away, it can only be worse if it happens in combat. Go ahead.
Well, it's all, you get to be like a part of an extended family. More so doing it now than that 1 weekend a month. Yeah. I've seen these guys probably more in these past 2 months than I had the 2 years I've been in the National Guard. But I hope, from my standpoint, my position in my job, that I'll take it well, because I need to get the guys that I lead to keep charging forward.
You have a squad, fire team,
Yeah, squad.
or as a soldier, soldiers try to prioritize. This might be a difficult question. Do you put the survival of your buddies first, or mission accomplishment, or self-preservation?
Mission accomplishment first.
Mission accomplishment, definitely.
Or would you put your buddies' lives ahead of your own if you had to?
I like to think that I would, to be
You never
honest.
know until you're there.
I like to think that I'm that. I think I'm that type of person that would. And hopefully, I don't have to prove it.
Do you feel confident in you, the brigade, the battalion, the leadership, even though you're part of the leadership?
Well, we have just now gotten, or a couple months old, but a new colonel, a new XO, a new S1. He went to NTC with us, but not, it's not been that long ago. We've got some new S4. So we've got some new people in some different leadership positions that we haven't really, as a staff. When I say as a staff, I mean the rest of us that have been in that position for a year and a half, 2 years. We haven't really grown accustomed to exactly what the old man wants and when he wants it. So there's still a learning curve that we've got to go through, but it'll be quick. Everyone on our staff is competent. Everyone does their job. Everyone is dedicated. So it won't take long. And yes, I have the utmost confidence in this battalion and this brigade.
From what I've seen, if everything else is running like we are, I don't see any problems with us going over. It's everybody's been supposedly training as hard as us. If that's the fact, then we're good to go.
So you spent some of your time at Fort Stewart, right? Both of you?
We spent, with the exception of myself, the guys have spent almost all their time at Fort Stewart.
Are you dismount or are you crew?
I'm actually part of the S3, but we've been doing that. We have been doing that training.
And when you first got mobilized, reported to Stewart and Bragg, when you had to go through the individual weapon qualification and the
Everything.
common skills, or
Right. CTT, IRT, individual weapons qualification, even some of us with weapons we weren't assigned, just because we got time, we got ammunition, go in there and train on that one.
do you think that was useful? Useful time?
I think it's good to requalify. I don't know about myself. I mean, for the S2 of the battalion to go spend a day on the hand grenade range, throwing 4 fake hand grenades and probing for mines, maybe that's a good refresher, but maybe some of it could be tempered more to realism and what you expect to see in theater, instead of going back to square one and saying every single person, no matter what your status or what your background, is going to start at common task number 2 and go through common task number 99. So maybe some of that could have been altered a little bit.
I think for myself, I shot, when I was in the Marine Corps, they prided themselves in rifleman and marksmanship. So I had that down. So I went out that day, I shot expert. I was done. I got to fire 240 Bravo, fire Mark 19, weapons that I didn't deal with a lot in the Marine Corps, but knew the basics and was able to fire them again and refresh that from the years I hadn't seen them.
So you found that useful?
Yeah, I found that useful, and I think it was good that a lot of those guys had got their hands on it, because if it ever comes to a point where that machine gunner goes down, that guy next to him needs to pick up and carry on and know without having to figure out what's going on.
The reason I asked the question, and I'm showing my bias here, I mean, no one asks the Air National Guard, whenever they show up for duty, like, they don't walk out there and say, well, okay, show us this refuelable boom, how do you do that, how do you use that? I mean, they just expect the units to be trained up on their basic tasks. So there isn't any resentment, though. I mean, you mentioned that as an S2, you don't necessarily need to be out there checking hand grenades and probing for mines.
Well, I mean, that training's good. If the time and resources are available and there's nothing else that you could be working on that would further your mission, then yes, okay, send me out there throw some fake hand grenades in a circle on the ground. But in my specific category, I think that time could have been better served doing more what I need to be doing in theater.
How would you characterize the training in general since you've been mobilized?
Cool.
I think
I got to think about that.
I think it's been good. We're doing the things that we're using the things that we're gonna have, which is good. I hated going to things and here it is, and you're gonna qualify with it, and you'll probably never see it again. Well, you just pissed away my day. This is stupid. But what we've been using is what we're gonna take, and it's what we're gonna have. So it's been good that these guys get their hands on it and having PMIs afterwards and continually doing this training, which is good because you go to a plugger class 2 months ago and then 4 months later they hand it to you and say, hey, we need to get here. And you're, oh.
Yeah.
But every couple of weeks, hey, let's break out the pluggers. We found 2 points around the area, easy to walk to. You got an hour, come back, tell me what they were. It was a street sign and a lamppost. Just to keep that refreshed in their minds. And we do have times during the day where things slow down and a quick hip pocket class that's not too tedious, more of a refresher. And they've been working well. We've done a few the week prior to us coming up here to do this training. We were shooting out some quick hip pocket classes just to keep guys' minds churning, not putting it in that back and getting all dusty.
The instruction, some of the instructions have been excellent. You know, the PMI that we run internally, and then going out and doing weapons qualification, it was run professionally, and it was very good for all the soldiers to go through that again. I can't really mention the common or the collective tasks because I haven't been involved in any of that. So I don't know how the company commanders or the platoon leaders are training their soldiers out there right now doing mount training or doing, clearing a bunker or some of the things, the collective tasks, because I haven't seen that. But from everything that I'm getting back from them, I think it's been real good. I know the SINGARS class that we had was run in a classroom environment. It was run great. The plugger class was run the same way. It was run good. Some of the medical training that we've had that may seem like a refresher, and for some people it was a refresher. It was still run very good.
I just want to give we got about 5 minutes.
Okay. 5 minutes before we have to be there? Or?
No, 5 minutes before we need to leave. So lay down the tag.
Do you feel like you have all the equipment you need?
I think we have all the equipment we need to perform the mission over there that we're going to do right now, yes. I think there's other equipment that we could have maybe that would help us if we were in a larger scale conflict.
Such as?
Well, I know that I know there's a lot of things out there right now that, like the Javelin system. I think we're going to net the Javelin system. I'm not sure about that because I'm not in on the S3 side of it as much as I should be, really. But there's a lot of things out there now that I think that the active Army has that we could utilize. Maybe if it was a higher intensity conflict, we would be getting those things quicker.
Do you guys have all the night vision capabilities?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
7 Bravos or whatever they were.
I think the majority of what we've got 7 Bravos.
Yeah, 7 Bravos, yeah.
Yeah.
New help.
Any equipment stuff that you like to have that you don't?
Yeah, we're about to issue a butt pack. I had to buy my own, and it sounds kind of trivial,
Yeah.
but it's just that extra pocket.
Right.
And there's 2 more magazines, field strip of chow. Just that one little thing. You don't think about it, but that when I was in the Marine Corps, everybody got a butt pack, and it just made life so much easier. You just have that extra little pouch you could jam something in.
Have you ever gone out and bought something, I mean, butt pack aside, that you felt like you needed, but you couldn't get through the supply system?
No.
Oh, well, yes, like ink cartridges, like paper for plotters, lots of things like that. Having a serious problem at Fort Stewart, and I don't know, I can't mention Fort Bragg here because I don't know, but I mean, we can't get ink cartridges or plotter cartridges through our supply system. I've spent myself over $100 of my own money just buying ink cartridges so I can make nice maps to hang up on the wall. Now, that seems trivial, but when you're thinking about going to a city in Iraq and you have the satellite imagery that you download off open source and you want to plot it up to hang on the wall to show the old man, well, this is where we're going, this is what it looks like, you should have the availability to get basic office supplies.
Last question, how would you rate the overall morale of the battalion?
High.
Hi.
I think most of the people in this battalion feel the same way that I do. They're here to do a job. They're happy about, maybe not happy about leaving their family, but they're enjoying the process and this mobilization.
Alrighty.
For more information about For Others Beyond Themselves or Northup Information Services, visit our website at www.northupinfo.com. I'm Zach Northup. See you later.